So I finally finished, the first season. So that's all there is so far for Raised by Wolves. Now, this was a fascinating sci-fi storyline that a lot of the visuals and whatnot does remind me of some of the surrealistic approaches to Heavy Metal Magazine. Yes, it wasn't all just, sexy robots and just a bunch of naked women and stuff. There was an awful lot of that in Heavy Metal Magazine. But there were quite a few very complex and thought out, bizarre science fiction vignettes and what have you throughout of it. And sometimes it was like a few chapters of another graphic novel, so you get a taste of it or whatever, and you can seek out the full story and stuff like that. But anyway, just the whole tonality, I could see this whole story being serialized in Heavy Metal Magazine back in that bygone era we commonly referred to as the day. And even like the little shuttle ship that they end up using a lot in here, I can't quite put my finger on it, but that is what it seemed to be the deal for me in the approach to it. Another thing is that for all intents and purposes, I think the main character is Mother, this android who, spoilers now, I'm just going to give an overall feel of it and stuff, but in doing so, I'm going to reveal certain things that, so she, if you can refer to her as that, was this android who got reprogrammed for this purpose. Now, there was a war that broke out, I'm guessing is the Earth, basically split between two classes of people. So you had an atheist group of people, and then you had a religious sect of people. And neither side really won, as the world is uninhabitable now, apparently. And the religious people, they built a starship to be a new ark, and they were seeking out this planet. And this is where the whole story unfolds, is on that planet. Meanwhile, one of the deadly weapons was these weaponized androids that can transform into what's referred to as a necromancer. She doesn't really speak to the dead or bring them back or anything. No, she just kills everything within sight, and to look at her is deadly and all this sort of stuff. And so apparently the backstory for her was that during this war, this guy managed to take her down, reprogram her into becoming this mother figure for a new take on humanity, and that he provided her with a companion, a male android who was simply called Father, reprogrammed him to do this function, and off they went in their shuttle. They land on this planet that I would have to assume that there's some, that this was some planet that was seen as a potential for colonization or what have you. We don't get a whole lot of details as to what the overall story was. We just know that there was this sort of civil war between an atheist and a religious cult or what have you. The cult of Saul, apparently, I guess sun worshippers or something, but, a god for all intents and purposes. And she's supposed to raise them in accordance with the instructions were these, I guess, clone children. I'm not entirely sure. She actually, in some form of fashion, does carry them a little bit here, and they're basically grown there. But over the years, and this goes on for a couple of years, they lose pretty much all of them. Well, yeah, they do lose all of them. There are some sort of animal species on the planet. It's all very mysterious. Some of the kids I think they died from disease, and I can't remember now. I didn't want to binge the series. It's just it took so long for me to get to it. So I guess I probably should have done a binge after watching them individually, just to refresh. But ultimately, only one boy survives, Campion. And he appears to be some of the focus of the overall storyline going forward. Meanwhile, the religious cult, their ark, does make it to this planet. And so, there's going to be trouble. So within the ark there's this couple who are not what they seem. They took the identities of two religious believers, were able to surgically mimic their faces, and they killed them. When they get on the ark, they discover the two had a child, a son, so whoops. So they got to deal with this kid, but basically they just wanted to get on the ark to escape the desolation of a dying world, And so, they finagled their way in. They're not religious people. They were part of the atheist forces, but so they're just pretending to be believers. Ultimately, the man, he starts to believe that the religion is real, and believes that he's a chosen one, a prophet, if you will. And there's something very odd and mysterious about the planet where people see visions. Even the android begins to see them. Campion sees what appears to be an apparition of his dead sister and stuff like that. Towards the end, they seem to suggest that there's something about the planet that's deteriorating the mental faculties of the humans. Well, if that were the case, then you would think that Campion would be affected by it. He is seeing his dead sister and stuff like that. There's some sort of intelligence, I suspect, that is communicating to them. And the man with the cult of Saul becomes their leader. They believe he's the prophet and all that, and he believes it. His girlfriend or wife, whatever, she becomes, she sees herself as the mother of this boy and loves him and everything and wants to protect him. This breaks them apart. And plus, he's gone nuts. I mean, he's become consumed with this idea that he's, a prophet of Saul. And there's this odd, bizarre object out there that clearly shows there's something had happened here before. Perhaps a dead society, the similar thing had happened, and this is just a repetitious cycle. We finally get at the end to see one of these mysterious creatures that was in a hooded robe and whatnot, and they say, oh, he's devolving, as if to suggest that this was some sort of man. I don't know. The android, her past is revealed to her, left in there by the creator. She has these visions, even though there's a way to hook up and go into a virtual world, like the Matrix or what have you. But the computer warns it's not meant for androids. She does it anyway. She goes in there and she has this vision and interaction with messages left to her by the creator. She's in love with the creator. And then at one point they appear to have sex. And then she's pregnant. Oh, how could this happen? Well, it appears perhaps, just perhaps, the initial story that revealed her origins was true. But the sex part is some other entity manipulating her into this to create this flying serpent creature. I mean, you don't quite know where it's going and everything, and there's the battles between the androids and the religious cult and all this stuff and back and forth. The kids don't know what to do, and then they think they do, and then they're forming formations and whatnot. And ultimately, you never quite know. And then she gives birth to this snake thing. Well, that doesn't look good. It's one of these things where she's changing as she goes forward. Nobody in this show is heroic, except for the kids. The kids, hopefully the hope is in them, of course. Maybe that's the ultimate message or what have you. But neither side are really good. The mother, except for father, he's trying to do the best thing. And even though he's programmed, there's something in him that he's achieving some kind of sentience just out of this, and seems to cares for these children, and certainly Campion. But mother is crazy. And man, this actress can play crazy. I mean, oh man, as she captures this whole mentality and whatnot. And yes, I am referring to certain mentalities we have today. And she's got that down pat. But it's also this, she's being tormented by all of this. And I suspect it's some sort of intelligence or what have you at work on this planet now, whether that's some like telepathic abilities or whatever this species is or something along those lines. It seemed to want this creature that was, both organic and artificial through her, which appears to be what's happened with this flying surfeit. I don't know. But everything is very mysterious. So that's what I think it is, rather than they're just all going insane. Just because she's been reprogrammed and she and Father are starting to gain certain human-like aspects about them just through the experiences and whatnot, they wouldn't suffer some sort of ailment that's on that planet. And I don't know why the children wouldn't be affected, unless you have to be of a certain age before you start to go nuts, But I mean, then, why is, the leader, he goes crazy, but the others don't, stuff like that. But it's, it certainly appears that it's something that can contact both humans and androids. So it ends on quite the mystery, and everything is kept rather well hidden in this, and there's clues everywhere. Hope it's not just a tease. It's seen in a lot of shows like that. So it's very intriguing. It's well shot and well done, and whenever they need the special effects, they're really good. But they kept that at a minimum, which is very wise in how this is set up, so that it won't cost as much as it does, and the rest of it is deeply rooted in the performances of the characters here. So it's a good one. It's very good. I was praising The Expanse, and someone, I think in a comment, I can't remember if that was on Twitter or here, but it was saying, suggesting Raised by Wolves, and I'd seen one, and I hadn't gotten to it yet. It's a tough call. They're very, very different, even though both of them could be heavy metal magazine stories. Expanse has more an ensemble type casting and soap opera type elements to it, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It doesn't have to be. So they're two very different vehicles, even though they're both sci-fi stories. So, and I got to tell you, there's one thing where they seem to be, it was over for the androids, that they, were sacrificing themselves for the kids or what have you. And it didn't work. They survived. But I kind of thought, well, could they have? But they did. So other than that, though, I will see what they do next, but it's a very, very strange and bizarre and surreal take on it, unlike Expanse, which has some elements of that to it, to be sure, but it's much more straightforward and whatnot. Whereas here, I'm guessing here and there, but it's still very much a puzzle, and we'll see where it goes. Forthcoming, it's a Ridley Scott project, and so you can recognize elements of that as well. But I got to tell you, after Prometheus which was interesting, but kind of fizzled, and then Covenant, which was just awful, really bad. The Blade Runner sequel, I know a lot of people trash it. I thought it was okay. It's you can't repeat lightning in a bottle like the original, but I wasn't that bothered by it. But this, whatever it's his production company, and how much of his input, I don't know. But so far, so very good. So it's a recommend. It's on HBO Max. Check out Raised by Wolves. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.